guys, this is Nick Johnston coming from MusicOff Studios, and this is my very first time in Rome, and I can't believe guitar playing has brought me here. So I'm here doing a tour with Schecter for the Custom Shop, and we've been traveling all across Italy, and this is the last stop on the tour. And I guess today I'm going to be playing with the Italian Custom Shop and their artists. So lots of great players like Lorenzo Venza and William Stravato. It's going to be a really great time, I think. So I have the first ever official signature Schecter Custom Shop guitar. And we've been out here promoting it and getting people to have a look at it and play it, and it's been a really positive experience. And this is probably the most comfortable I've ever felt touring in another country. Other than this tour, this is going to be a really big year for me because I have a new album coming out this fall featuring Gavin Harrison and Brian Beller, and I use this guitar on the entire record, and it's probably the best I've ever sounded, and my songwriting seems to be at its peak at this point. So I started playing guitar when I was about 14 years old, and that to me at this moment blows my mind because that was basically half my life ago. So I've been playing guitar for half my life, which is pretty cool. In the early days, I was really into playing rock music, pop music. In that era, a lot of the pop-punk kind of music, so Weezer and Blink-182, and then I got into playing stuff like Metallica and Megadeth and Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. And then I heard Yngwie for the first time, and it absolutely shattered my preconceived notions of what you could possibly do with a piece of wood with strings on it. Then from there, I started writing music and exploring other styles and getting into other guitar players. My four main influences as a guitar player have pretty well remained the same for most of my guitar playing life. Those guys would be Eddie Van Halen, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jeff Beck, and Yngwie. Of course, I don't sound anything like those guys at all, but I really identify with their individual skill set and what made them sound unique. And each one of those guys, I feel like, kind of changed the game in their respective areas as a guitar player. And tonally, and in terms of expression and performance, each one of those guys had a setup and I suppose an approach that I try to replicate myself, which is always evolving and trying to strip back as much as possible. So when I was about 20 years old, I started teaching in a guitar shop, and that was kind of my continuation of my music career from basically being a high school guitar player into the real world. I didn't actually go to post-secondary school or college or university, so I needed to find a way to keep playing guitar as a career, and teaching was an exciting option for me, as I knew a lot of really great players that had kind of gone that route. So as I was teaching, I at one point had an offer to join a instrumental kind of world music band as the second guitar player. And because I was the rhythm guitar player in that band, playing different styles of music with different rhythms and different feels, I was exposed to a type of music and a type of an approach to music that I was completely inexperienced. So playing, music like gypsy music or Latin music, tangos, samba, all that stuff, all those feels and rhythms were extremely difficult for me in the beginning. But as I started to kind of get more involved in the harmony and the percussion in it and the rhythm, that stuff started to kind of seep into my own guitar playing and songwriting, which you can really hear on my first few records. From there, after playing in that band for a few years, for about 5 years or so, and traveling all over and doing that stuff, I attempted to start my own career in music. Following that, I released a collection of songs I'd been writing for a couple of years on an album called Public Display of Infection. And that kind of kick-started what I felt like I was destined to do, and that was write music, release it, perform it, and rinse and repeat that cycle over and over and over again. Of course, the first album didn't really sell very many because I was unknown, but I decided I'm going to do another album anyways, because that's all I really know how to do at this point. That album, In the Locked Room on the Moon, was a big turning point for me. That's when I started to kind of develop a bit of a fan base. I had Paul Gilbert and Guthrie Govan, and a great drummer named Travis Orban, and my friend Matt King play on that record. Although I was still pretty well unknown at that point, and that record was released to kind of a blind eye. Not a lot of people knew about it, which is totally fine, because you have to build a fan base, and especially when you're playing a style of music, instrumental music, where each piece of music on the album is different. It's very hard to develop a specific fan base. So through trial and error and just continuing promoting it and playing and writing, I decided I'm going to do one more album. I'm going to do my kind of big album with a big budget, and if it doesn't do well, then I'll maybe just focus more on teaching, which that album became Atomic Mind. So I had Marco Miniman, Brian Beller, and Guthrie, the Aristocrats, play on that album. Somehow that worked out. I doubt I could repeat it if I tried. That album was received quite well, so I was obviously very, very excited at the fact that when this album came out, people were into it and started to kind of take notice to what I was doing, which is still totally mind-blowing, because the music I write is so unique to me. I always would think, who would listen to this? But there seemed to be a bit of an audience for it. So from there, I started working with Schecter and playing more with my band and writing music and teaching and just developing as a guitar player. And here we are now, 5 years from the release of the first album. I'll be releasing my fourth album. Thinking back to that, that's quite a workload I took on. And when you're in the middle of it, you don't quite think of it that way, though. You're just doing what you do. You're doing the independent musician thing. And I've been very lucky. This has been taking me all over the world. So yes, 2016, touring, new album, new guitar, and I'm excited to see what happens next.